What is time? When did time begin? When is time going to stop? Is time an illusion, a construct of the human mind? Is time travel possible? For ages now, everyone has been asking these questions. We've tried our very best to provide definitive answers to these questions. Yet, despite our best efforts, time remains a captivating puzzle that sparks controversy and debate. One provocative proposition is the idea that time is merely an illusion, a construct of the human mind. Could it be that time as we perceive it is not an objective reality, but a subjective experience created by our consciousness? Furthermore, the concept of time travel adds another layer of controversy to the discussion. Is it possible to traverse the vast depths of time, journeying backward or forward in history? And if so, how can we achieve such feat? Well, it's not as hard as it sounds. Imagine a scenario for me. On a blissful morning, you visit a very close friend, and to your shock, you discover a time machine sitting in her living room. Seizing this extraordinary opportunity, you and your friend embark on a series of thrilling adventures through time's uncharted territories. Together, you journey to witness the majestic dinosaurs that once roamed the earth. You then venture to the ancient city of Constantinople in 1453 BC, stirring up a little trouble in the vibrant streets of that bygone era. And not stopping there, you find yourselves transported to the pivotal year of 1969, where you witness the historic moon landing unfold before your eyes, captured in the grainy black and white footage of that time. Amidst these captivating escapades, your friend confides in you, her voice filled with determination and a sense of purpose. She reveals that there is something of great importance she must accomplish, a mission that compels her to travel back in time, slightly before her present moment. You watch as she imparts her knowledge and teaches her younger self how to construct the very time machine that has allowed these extraordinary adventures. But as you contemplate the intricacies of this situation, a question emerges, tinged with caution and curiosity. You find yourself stammering, hesitant to offend or disrupt the delicate balance of time. But, you begin, if you use the time machine to travel back and inform yourself how to build it, wouldn't that create a paradox? It is, because no one in this story ever actually sat down to figure out how to create a time machine. This is the bootstrap paradox, which details an infinite cause and effect loop that develops around information, an object, or even a person that can no longer be given a discernible point of origin in a time travel scenario. Eager to explore the ever-shifting corridors of temporal possibility, you accompany your friend on yet another adventure. This time, you find yourselves in the court of a revered physicist, renowned for her groundbreaking theories on time. In a twist of fate, you witness your friend engaging in a spirited debate with the physicist, who is none other than her future self. The temporal dilemma paradox manifests before your eyes as your friend's future self attempts to persuade her past self to abandon her research. The future self passionately argues that delving too deep into the secrets of time will lead to catastrophic consequences, unraveling the very fabric of existence. Yet your friend's past self remains steadfast, convinced that unlocking the mysteries of time will usher in a new era of understanding. As you observe this entangled encounter, you become acutely aware of the Pandora's paradox unfolding around you. The desire to possess knowledge of the future clashes with the profound ramifications it can have on shaping that very future. The question hangs heavy in the air. Is it ethically justifiable to meddle with time and alter the course of events, even if done with the noblest of intentions? Driven by an insatiable thirst for discovery, you embark on a solo expedition, utilizing the time machine to journey to the heart of an ancient civilization. However, as you immerse yourself in their culture, your presence becomes a catalyst for change. The butterfly effect paradox unfurls, as even the smallest alteration in the timeline ripples outward, leading to unforeseen consequences. Haunted by the weight of your inadvertent influence, you resolve to rectify the course of history. But in doing so, you face the paradox of fate, for every attempt to prevent the unintended consequences of your actions seems to inexorably lead to their fulfillment. The very act of trying to avert a tragedy becomes the catalyst that ensures its occurrence. Burdened by the weight of these paradoxes, you seek solace in the annals of ancient philosophy. In the midst of ancient texts and crumbling manuscripts, you stumble upon the paradox of infinite causality. It posits that in the ever-expanding tapestry of time, an infinite loop of cause and effect can emerge, perpetuating itself without a discernible origin or end. You realize that time is not linear, but rather a convoluted dance of intertwined possibilities, forever confounding mortal comprehension. As your journey through time continues, paradox after paradox, you are simultaneously enthralled and humbled by the boundless complexities that time unveils. Each enigma unraveled only begets more questions, propelling you deeper into the unfathomable abyss of temporal mysteries. And so, with each step forward, you become a living testament to the paradoxical nature of existence, forever chasing the elusive truths of time while being entangled within its infinite enigmas. You see, time travel can be a strange journey, filled with twists and turns that defy our conventional understanding. The intricacies of temporal paradoxes remind us that the very act of traversing time is accompanied by a web of complexities. As we delve deeper into the realm of time travel, questions arise. Why do these paradoxes emerge? Is it possible to navigate the corridors of time without triggering such paradoxes? Physicists first began to pay serious attention to the concept of time travel in the early years of the 20th century, following the work of Albert Einstein. As he formulated the theory of special relativity, published in 1905, Einstein united the concepts of space and time into a single four-dimensional entity, space-time, and also imposed the rule that particles with mass would need infinite energy to accelerate to the speed of light. This led to speculation about hypothetical massless particles called tachyons that could exceed the speed of light, but as a consequence, would travel back through time. Right now, we don't know of anything that's faster than the speed of light. Light has no mass, so it doesn't gain size as it speeds up. Meanwhile, an object with mass gains mass as it speeds up, which means it doesn't have enough energy to keep pace with the speed of light. So, with everything in our world traveling slower than the speed of light, every cause that occurs within our known universe happens within the speed of light's time parameters. A tachyon, though, is a particle that travels faster than the speed of light, in theory at least. Somehow, the tachyon has to achieve a constant speed faster than the speed of light, meaning it can never go slower. For now, that's a pretty tall task. But here's where time travel comes in. If you can travel faster than the speed of light, you could hypothetically send messages at speeds exceeding time, which means you can send a message backward. That message can then reach you before you even thought to send the original message. It's a bit confusing. While this opened the door to physicists thinking about time travel, Einstein would violently tear that hypothetical door down 10 years later when he formulated the theory of general relativity. Primarily a theory that describes the effect of mass on spacetime, general relativity implies that four-dimensional spacetime could be twisted into any shape. This means it could be possible to create a path that forms a loop passing back through time, returning to its original starting point, which would become known as a closed time-like curve. The idea of time travel caused a serious threat to causality, the relationship between cause and effect, in that it could make an effect precede its own cause, a clear contradiction. The bootstrap paradox is more subtle than this, but there is no starting point in the process. Instead, the paradox suggests the potential for predestination to causality, or the idea that the past is dependent on the future. It has been suggested that paradoxes such as the grandfather paradox could be avoided by the many worlds theory. When the time traveler goes back and kills her grandfather, she is simply forcing a transition into a separate world, or branch of the wave function, from the world in which she came. That means a time traveler hitching a ride on a closed time-like curve into the past actually causes the universe to diverge, and the world she arrives in is distinct from the one she left. Therefore, it is not her grandfather she kills in the past, but a version of him that will never go on to have a child or grandchild. Our time traveler's birth, therefore, is not prevented. So in the case of the bootstrap paradox, returning to our earlier scenario, our friend doesn't pass the information for building a time machine to her earlier self, but a version of herself in the past in a separate world. That means each backward leap passes the information to a new universe. Even so, this doesn't fully solve the bootstrap paradox, as it doesn't explain where this information came from in the first place. The instructions for the time travel machine still don't have an origin point. As I mentioned before, if you can travel faster than the speed of light, you could hypothetically send messages at speeds exceeding time. In fact, not only is time travel possible, it's already happened. It just doesn't look like your typical sci-fi film. Real-life time travel occurs through a process called time dilation, a property of Einstein's special relativity. As an object gets closer to the center of a gravitational field, like the Earth's core, its acceleration increases. This is because the core has the strongest gravitational pull. According to Einstein's theory, time moves slower for objects closer to the center of the Earth, and as you move faster through space, time also slows down. This theory of time dilation has been confirmed through a number of experiments, including the famous thought experiment, twin paradox, in which one twin travels at a high speed in a spaceship while the other stays on Earth. When the traveling twin returns, he or she will have aged less than the twin who stayed on Earth. In the movie Interstellar, there is a dramatic example of time dilation. Matthew McConaughey and his crew land on a planet near a black hole, which creates an extremely strong gravitational field. Due to the immense gravitational influence of the black hole, time slows down significantly for the crew on the planet. As a result, 1 hour spent on the planet is equivalent to 7 years passing on Earth. When the crew returns to Earth, they find that Matthew McConaughey's daughter has aged into an old woman, while he himself appears to have hardly aged at all. So, why haven't we achieved significant leaps forward in time? The answer lies in velocity. To transport a human into the future, we would require either harnessing the immense gravitational force of a black hole or attaining near-light speeds through space travel. These extreme conditions are necessary to overcome the barriers that currently restrict our ability to travel forward in time. However, at a subatomic level, such feats have already been achieved by the Large Hadron Collider, constructed by the European Organization for Nuclear Research. This remarkable particle accelerator routinely propels subatomic particles into the future. By accelerating protons to a staggering 99.99% of the speed of light, the relative time experienced by these particles slows down approximately 6,900 times compared to stationary human observers. This groundbreaking experiment demonstrates that manipulating velocity can indeed alter the flow of time on a subatomic scale. To send humans to the future, scientists propose a rather straightforward method. Let's consider a scenario where you wish to visit Earth in the year 3000. All you need to do is board a spaceship and travel at approximately 99.995% of the speed of light. Imagine if a person embarked on such a journey to a planet located around 500 light-years away, like Kepler 186f. Traveling at nearly the speed of light, it would take them roughly 500 years to reach their destination. Upon arrival, they would then turn back towards Earth, which would take another 500 years. Thus, the total travel time would amount to approximately 1,000 years. Consequently, when they return, it would be the year 3023 on Earth. However, due to their high velocity, an intriguing phenomenon known as time dilation would occur. Time would appear to pass differently for them compared to those on Earth. Their internal clock would slow down significantly, ticking at a rate merely 1/100th of the clocks back home. Remarkably, they would age only about 10 years, while a millennium would have elapsed for us. Despite the potential of future technology enabling such journeys into the future by approaching the speed of light, it seems unlikely that time dilation could be utilized to travel back to the past and share their discoveries. Interstellar travel near light speed may allow for remarkable leaps into the future, but it remains a one-way voyage, advancing time rather than reversing it. If we can't use time dilation to return to the past, does it mean that the past is forever inaccessible? Maybe not. Einstein and physicist Nathan Rosen proposed that time travel into the past could be achieved through an Einstein-Rosen bridge, a type of wormhole. Wormholes are theoretical areas of space-time that are warped in a way that connects two distant points in space. In our known universe, we have tiny, minuscule quantum fluctuations in the fabric of space-time on the smallest of scales. These include energy fluctuations in both the positive and negative directions, often very close to one another. A very strong, dense, positive energy fluctuation would create curved space in one particular fashion, while a strong, dense, negative energy fluctuation would curve space in exactly the opposite fashion. If you connected these two curvature regions together, you could, for a brief instant, arrive at the notion of a quantum wormhole. If the wormhole lasted for long enough, you could even potentially transport a particle through it, allowing it to instantly disappear from one location in space-time and reappear in another. Einstein's equations suggested that this bridge in space could hypothetically connect 2 points in time if it was stable enough. At the moment, even an Einstein-Rosen bridge cannot be used to go back in the past because it doesn't live long enough and it is not stable. Even if it was stable, it requires other physics, which we don't have. Hypothetical particles and states of matter that have exotic physical properties that would violate known laws of physics, such as a particle having a negative mass. Some wormholes may be traversable, meaning humans may be able to travel through them. For that, though, they would need to be sufficiently large and kept open against the force of gravity, which tries to close them. To push space-time outward in this way would require huge amounts of negative energy. We know that negative energy exists, and small amounts have already been produced in the lab. We also know that negative energy is behind the universe's accelerated expansion, so nature may have found a way to make wormholes. Wormholes hold a strong grip on our collective imagination. In a way, they are a delightful form of escapism. Unlike black holes, which are a bit frightening as they trap everything that ventures in, wormholes may allow us to travel to faraway places faster than the speed of light. They may in fact even be time machines, providing a way to travel backward, as suggested by the late Stephen Hawking in his final book. Wormholes, black holes, cosmic strings, and circulating light beams have all been suggested as potential solutions for time traveling to the past. The main challenge that astrophysicists are grappling with is figuring out how to beat a light beam to a point in space-time and back. While wormholes do work within the confines of Einstein's theories of relativity, they have yet to be observed in space, and scientists have no concrete evidence that these galactic shortcuts would even work. A great many unusual things become possible in the universe if a negative mass or negative energy is real, abundant, and controllable. But traveling backward in time might be the wildest one we've ever imagined. Owing to the oddities of both special and general relativity, time travel to the past might not be forbidden after all. Time appears to have a clear direction, like a one-way path. The past lies behind us, fixed and unchangeable, accessible through memory or written records. On the other hand, the future lies ahead, uncertain and not yet determined. While we can make predictions about the future, we lack concrete evidence or proof of what lies ahead. Many of the events we experience are irreversible. For example, we can easily break an egg, but it's difficult, if not impossible, to unbreak it once it's already broken. This unidirectional progression of time seems natural and impossible to imagine going in any other way. This one-way direction, known as the arrow of time, gives us the feeling of time passing and the sense of moving through different moments. The concept of the arrow of time was first explored by the British astronomer and physicist Sir Arthur Eddington in 1927. He noticed that this arrow of time would apply universally, whether to us or to an alien race on the other side of the universe. It is not dependent on our biology or psychology, but rather reflects the nature of the universe itself. The arrow of time is not synonymous with time itself. Rather, it is a characteristic of the universe and its contents resulting from its evolution. In simple terms, the arrow of time represents the unidirectional flow of time from the past to the future. It is a fundamental aspect of the universe, shaping our perception of time's passage and the progression of events. Much of the observed difference in the flow of time, the reason we perceive time as having a forward direction, can be attributed to the principles of thermodynamics, specifically the second law of thermodynamics. This law states that in isolated or closed systems, the overall disorder, or entropy, will always increase or at least remain the same as time progresses. Theoretical physicist and cosmologist Stephen Hawking also stated in his book, A Brief History of Time, that the increase of disorder or entropy is what distinguishes the past from the future, giving a direction to time. The concept of entropy and the tendency for ordered systems to decay was explored by the physicist Ludwig Boltzmann in the 1870s. Entropy can be understood as the tendency for things, such as matter and energy, to disperse or become more random. For instance, heat always flows from a hotter object to a cooler environment. Objects mix but do not separate on their own, and neglected structures crumble over time. However, it's important to note that in systems that are not closed, entropy can decrease temporarily or locally. Examples include the formation of certain crystals, living systems that reduce entropy locally while increasing it in the surrounding environment, and the formation of stars and planets from gas and dust pockets. Yet, despite these localized instances of order, the overall trend of the universe is toward increasing disorder. Interestingly, as large-scale structures like galaxies and clusters form in the universe, overall entropy still increases. Even dense and compact black holes have remarkably high entropy, accounting for the majority of entropy in today's universe. It is worth noting that the relatively smooth early configuration of the universe actually represents low overall entropy. High entropy does not imply smoothness. Instead, randomness and lumpiness, as observed in our current universe, are characteristics of high entropy. Entropy plays a crucial role in explaining why we cannot travel back in time to the past. The increase in entropy is responsible for the observed irreversibility and asymmetry of time in many physical processes. As we go about our daily lives, we can witness entropy in action. Cells in our bodies degrade and perish, dust accumulates on surfaces, and heat disperses from our coffee into the surrounding environment. Reversing these processes and gathering all the dispersed heat energy back into the coffee cup is highly unlikely due to the increase in entropy. The distinction between the past and the future lies in our interaction with the world. It is the perspective we have and how we relate to the world. It is a misconception to think that something exists independently when, in reality, it is defined by its relationship between here and there. Similarly, the passage of time has a perspectival aspect to it. It is influenced by the way we interact with the world around us. Everything I just explained about entropy and the asymmetry of time may seem a bit complex. Let me simplify it. Think of time like a river, flowing in one direction. Imagine standing at the edge of a river, watching the water flow past you. The river represents time, continuously moving forward. You can observe the water's movement and feel its current, just as we experience the progression of moments in our lives. As the river flows, it carries various objects with it. These objects symbolize events, experiences, and even the particles that make up our universe. Just like the river, time carries these events forward, adding them to the river's ever-growing stream. Now, if we were to try and swim against the current, going back to a previous point in the river, we would find it incredibly challenging. The river's force and the direction of its flow make it nearly impossible to swim upstream. Similarly, the arrow of time, governed by entropy, makes it extremely difficult to reverse the progression of events and return to the past. While we may have memories and records of the past, the actual flow of time pushes us toward the future. Just as we cannot change the river's course, we cannot alter the direction of time's flow. It moves inexorably forward, carrying us along its current. So, to better understand time, envision it as a river, flowing with an unwavering direction. It helps us grasp the concept of time's irreversibility and the challenges we face when trying to travel against its natural current. Aristotle, the ancient Greek philosopher, considered time as a fundamental aspect of nature. He defined time as the measurement of motion and change. According to Aristotle, time is inseparable from the physical world and depends on the movement and succession of objects and events. He believed that time exists only in relation to these changes, emphasizing the connection between time and the unfolding of the universe. Jumping ahead in time, we encounter René Descartes, the influential French philosopher of the 17th century. Descartes saw time as an essential element of our mental experiences. He proposed that our perception of time arises from the workings of our mind. Descartes argued that our internal sense of duration is the basis for our understanding of time, highlighting the subjective nature of our temporal experiences. Moving forward, we encounter Immanuel Kant, the German philosopher of the 18th century. Kant explored the nature of time in relation to our perception of the world. He considered time to be a necessary framework imposed by our minds to make sense of our sensory experiences. According to Kant, time is a subjective framework through which we organize our perceptions, allowing us to establish a coherent understanding of the external world. In the 19th century, Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher, offered a unique perspective on time. Nietzsche regarded time as a human construct that shapes our understanding of reality. He argued that our perception of time is influenced by our cultural and societal context. Nietzsche challenged the traditional linear notion of time and emphasized the subjective and interpretive nature of temporal experiences. Fast forward to the 20th century, where we encounter Martin Heidegger, the German philosopher who delved deeply into the concept of time. Heidegger argued that our understanding of time is not limited to mere measurement or succession. He proposed that time is the very foundation of our existence, shaping our being in the world. According to Heidegger, time is not just a linear progression, but a complex interplay of past, present, and future that unfolds through our engagement with the world. These philosophers represent a mere fraction of the rich tapestry of ideas about time throughout the history of philosophy. Their insights offer us diverse perspectives, challenging our preconceived notions and stimulating further contemplation. As we reflect on their thoughts, we are reminded of the vastness and complexity of the topic of time, prompting us to explore it with intellectual curiosity and philosophical wonder. Throughout history, philosophers and physicists alike have grappled with the fundamental questions surrounding time, often leading to controversial and unanswered inquiries. One such thought-provoking question is, when is it truly now? The relativity of simultaneity, as proposed by Einstein's theory of special relativity, challenges our conventional notion of simultaneous events. Due to the effects of time dilation, a moment experienced by one observer moving at high speeds may not align precisely with the moment experienced by another observer in a different frame of reference. The consequences of this phenomenon render it impossible to definitively determine the same time at two different points, introducing a perplexing ambiguity. Furthermore, our perception of the present itself is imbued with complexity. When we observe objects or individuals, the light that reaches our eyes carries information from the past, introducing a temporal lag between the actual occurrence and our perception. As a result, the concept of now becomes a localized notion, a bubble in which we exist. Even our observations of distant celestial bodies are subject to this delay, as the light traveling from those objects takes significant time to reach us. Modern physics challenges the traditional view of time as a linear flow. Instead, it reveals a dynamic interplay between gravity and the passage of time. Gravitational time dilation, a consequence of general relativity, demonstrates that time runs slower in the presence of strong gravitational fields. This means that clocks in space, where the gravitational pull is weaker, tick at a slightly faster rate than those on Earth. This intriguing effect not only impacts time, but also influences the behavior of physical systems. Machines in space may operate at higher frequencies, and biological processes, such as the blossoming of flowers, may unfold more rapidly. The underlying cause of this temporal discrepancy lies in the influence of mass. Massive objects, like planets and black holes, distort the fabric of space-time, resulting in stretching or warping of time. This gravitational time dilation manifests as a difference in the measured passage of time between locations with varying gravitational fields. As we contemplate the nature of time, we confront controversial questions that challenge our understanding of reality. Does time truly pass or flow? Is the present a universal phenomenon or a localized construct? How does the interplay between gravity and time shape our perception of the universe? These questions propel us towards further exploration, inviting us to delve deeper into the enigmatic realm of temporal existence. In the end, the study of time continues to inspire awe and curiosity, urging us to contemplate our place within the vast tapestry of cosmic events. While we may not have all the answers, the pursuit of understanding time unveils a fascinating journey of discovery, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge and inviting us to contemplate the intricate interplay of the universe and our temporal experiences. And that's it for this video. Really hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more videos.